Hey guys, happy Friday. I seriously feel like I'm hanging on only based off of the fact that it's Friday. I am absolutely exhausted, but it is a good realization of how much our mental thoughts play into everything. Because I was thinking this morning that, so I'm on night number three. Night number three of having my infant puppy. And I'm telling you, it's tough. It's worse. It's worse than having a newborn baby. Um, I mean, he's doing fantastic. I'm super impressed by how well he's potty training at this super young age. He's so good at whining and letting us know when he has to go potty. But at the same time, I think, let's see. So, night number one, of course, like he's not around mommy anymore. He's in a new home. So he's like overly whiny. And I think that first night, I don't even know. I think I was up every hour taking him outside. Um, then the second night, he did pretty good. I think I only got up 5 times. And then I don't know, last night, I feel like it might have been a little bit more. So I'm definitely getting into like that chronic fatigue stage where I'm like, okay, it's really starting to take a toll. And I thought to myself, man, if today was Monday or Tuesday, just mentally knowing that I still had to make it through the week, I think I would be dying. But there's something about the fact that, right, you get this like mental boost because you're like, it's Friday. Um, when in reality, I really don't even know what that means for myself because my weekend is so jam packed of appointments that I cannot even fit another person in if I wanted to. Hello, good morning. Hi, Lisa. So I'm definitely on the end of burning out. So I gotta really dig. Yesterday was a cool day. I took a half a day of vacation from work and I took my Granny Poppins, which is what I call my mom. We took Granny Poppins. We went to Vintage Market Days, which is local here for us. It's really cool. We just have a bunch of booths are set up at the local fairgrounds, and it's a lot of vintage stuff. And I got myself some stools that are kind of chippy painted with that farmhouse look for my kitchen. And I just, I laugh at myself because there are just moments, right? You know, when you have a moment. So I was on the fence about buying these stools. I've released a lot of emotions for myself, and those emotions were highly associated with me buying stuff. I was buying a lot of stuff based off of emotions. And so I've cleared all that out. And so it almost becomes really difficult now for me to buy something that I don't actually need. And so I was like, ooh, stools that I have in my kitchen are falling apart. And they're really just something I bought from Walmart years ago. And they're getting kind of rickety. They don't match my kitchen at all. So I saw this set of stools and I was like, do I want them or do I not? I told my mom, if they still are for sale when we come back through this building, then I'll buy them. And when we came back through the building, they were sold. Like she had a sold tag on them. So we walked around for a minute and then came back and she saw me and she's like, hey, those stools aren't sold if you want them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I decided to buy them and I brought them home and they're a little too tall. So we're sitting in the kitchen and I tell Dave, I'm like, I don't know if I really like these. So of course I'm going through like the guilt of I paid too much for them and I don't think that they're the right size. They're too tall. Dave just looks at me and he's like, would you like me to cut the bottoms of the legs off? And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, you can do that? And he's like, he just looks at me with like this gigantic eye roll of like, of course I can make them shorter if you want. And I was like, ugh. Oh yeah, duh. I'm like, I have her awesome husband that can just cut the bottom of the stool legs off and we'll be fine. And I can make them the exact height that I want. And I was like, oh, perfect. Right. So sometimes we obsess about things that are not really worth obsessing or worrying about when there's kind of, an easy solution to things sometimes. Good morning, Stacy. Hello. Happy Friday. So, it leads me into the other thought that I was having today when I was getting ready. I was like, man, like it's not really that things are always man, I just saw this dark chocolate color. Like, so the road in front of our house is like a block away. But I just saw this like chocolate colored, darker animal running up the street. And I was like, is my lab outside? No, but there's a person. Our road is like the town place to walk your puppy. So it kind of goes up a gradual hill. So it's great for exercising. But I just saw a dog run by. I'm like, is my dog lost? Anyway, not my dog. Okay. So I was thinking about this morning. And it's really resonating with me. I was like, sometimes you hear people say everything just works out for you. Or, you hear that directed to a person. And I was like, does it really though? I'm like, everything does not work out for me. So I would thought to myself, like, how is it that I'm kind of in the mindset though, that while everything doesn't work out for me, everything is working out for me? Like, how do you get to that space? And that's what I wanted to share with you. So I'm like, okay, this is how you manifest this. Everything doesn't work out for me. Everything doesn't go my way. Like, in fact, right now, I'm really going through some of my own, like, okay, how do I turn this into a positive situation? Because I sold my truck and I ordered a truck. And the only reason that I ordered a truck is because you can't even get one right now. There's just such a limited supply of vehicles in the pipeline. There is a little bottleneck with the chips that they need to run like all the computer systems in vehicles. And so not being aware of this really, I mean, hearing rumors about it, but it didn't really hit until after I sold my truck. And so now I can't even order one. And the dealership that I am trying to get a truck from, they're like, we have one in our system that's supposed to be coming through the pipeline. And it was supposed to be made by the 17th of May. And so I called the dealership yesterday and they were like, oh, yeah, it's not being made. And they've pushed the date out until the 17th of June. And so I'm like, okay, but honestly, what does that even mean, right? If they can't get chips, then they're just going to keep telling me every month that it's been pushed out a month, because that's just, they have no reason to like give me a hard, fast date. So I'm like, man, this is totally crap, because I don't have a car. I'm getting rides from people. I'm borrowing my 17-year-old's car, which is literally on its last leg. So I'm like, well, this is kind of not awesomeness. And then I thought, okay, resonate with yourself, because I started going back and seeing a trigger moment of feeling like I was on a deployment of where like there's no end in sight, because it's crazy triggering for me, because we used to get days that we were supposed to go home from a deployment, and then you would get a notification that your date to leave has been delayed. And you wouldn't actually know for sure when you were going. And you didn't feel safe until you were actually on an airplane headed out away from the deployment location. And then you're like, okay, this is really happening. Like, I'm really going home. And it's triggering that for me. And it's really interesting, because it's a great parallel to look at of how things that are happening now can be, triggered from things in the past, when in reality, what does buying a vehicle have to do with me being on a deployment? But it's that unknowing, that coming back and saying, you're not going to go home yet. And so it's triggering that for me. And it's making this event of me not being able to get a vehicle far bigger than it would be otherwise, because it's based off of this me needing to release and work on myself for some things that are triggering from a deployment. And I didn't realize this until this morning, that that's why this is becoming so difficult for me. And so as I wrap my head around it, I'm like, okay, I need to focus on, why is this not happening the way that I had hoped for it to happen? Because there's an underlying reason, there's an underlying better opportunity coming, there's an underlying better thing that's going to happen for me. It's just that in the moment, it's really hard to see it. So you have to take a second and you have to step back and you have to really breathe through it and be like, okay, things are not exactly working out the way that I want them to work out, but things are working out beautifully for what needs to happen for me. That's a beautiful statement to give to yourself. things are not working out for me exactly how I want them to work out, but things are working out beautiful for me for how they need to happen. Living in that space instead of getting into the victim mindset will save you a ton of grief and keep you vibrating on a higher level. Because no, when I draw it out on paper, everything doesn't always work out for me. I have things break, I have things go wrong, I have stress at work, I have my kids doing things. No, it doesn't always beautifully work out for me, but understanding and allowing things to flow for you puts you in a space where you're not fighting against that, because when you do, you start to get into a victim mindset. And once you get in that space, all you're going to do is attract more negativity. When you're like, woe is me, why is this always happening to me, blah 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 blah. I see it all the time, especially when I work with a client that just cannot stop complaining. It makes it really hard to do energy work on them because they're in such a mindset that they can't find gratitude in anything. And when you get really that far down the rabbit hole that you can find no gratitude in everything and you are just 100% stuck in the victim mindset, you're in a really bad space. And you have to do some things cognitively to start being like, okay, I want to make a choice to get out of this place. Because you can do energy healing all day long, or you can do therapy all day long, or you can do anything all day long. But if you're not putting in the effort to make a cognitive, okay, I don't want to be in this space anymore, it can be really hard to get you out of it. So try to not allow yourself to get into that victim mindset by using statements, using affirmations like the one I just gave you. Otherwise, you'll stay in this really nasty cycle. And we all know laws of karma, laws of the universe, whatever you give out is what you're attracting. So if you're giving out the victim mindset, you will become a victim and you will be stuck as a victim and you will not be able to get out of it no matter what. It's also one of the reasons why, and I get really into this spot, I'm really bad at it, right? I feel the need to call people out when they're being completely a pain in the butt or inappropriate or doing things that are not great. But the problem is that really going to affect anyone or help anyone? No, because they have to make the cognitive choice to do that. I can't force someone to self-reflect and see what they're doing is not right. I can't force someone to self-reflect and see that when they are, oh, there was this super beautiful, someone shared this post, I loved it. Anybody can worship Jesus. Anybody can say, I'm worshiping Jesus, but not everybody can actually act upon and be who he was. And I loved that. It was something along those lines. And it super resonated with me because I was like, that's exactly what my frustration is watching specific people in my community that are worshiping Jesus Christ, but are not actually following in Jesus Christ or being an example of who he is. And that really, really is difficult for me to wrap my little head around. But you have to realize that you cannot change people. And if people cannot self-reflect, and my mom said this really beautifully yesterday when we were talking about this, I'm like, I just don't understand. I don't understand why another person would not just tell me what their issue is with me instead of treating me poorly. Like, just say, this is what you did so that we can be mature adults and fix it. Instead, they just want to be, they just want to ignore it. They want to just shove it under the rug. But at the same time, they're showing this whole, I am so Christ-like and I'm holding, this place in the church and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not though. You're saying something, but your actions are completely opposite. And you're actually encouraging other people to follow and do what you're doing. And so, yeah, it's really difficult. I have such a hard time not calling people out. And I have to really stop and be like, you can't make someone self-reflect. I can't force you to self-reflect and realize that what you're doing is completely wrong when, they just want to step back and be like, I'm going to be ignorant to the truth and I'm just going to blame everyone else around me. And I'm going to blame someone else so that I have my mom also, she used to tell us all the time, she'd be like, if you have to justify what you're doing, it's probably not right. And I loved that because I always thought about that when I was doing something. I'm like, wait, am I trying to justify my own actions to make something fit for me? Or am I doing something that I shouldn't be doing? Anyway, there you go. Okay, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic, beautiful day. I'm wearing taco socks. I actually went out to eat with my mom yesterday, which I never do. it was a little difficult trying to be on keto and trying to go to a restaurant that had tacos. I made the mistake of telling the lady, I was like, okay, so I need to make sure that none of the meat that I get is marinated in anything with sugar, no tortilla. So I basically just ordered a salad and it had shredded beef on it. And I'm like, okay, that should be safe. And then she brought it out because she had asked me, like, are there any toppings that you can't have, like tomatoes or anything? And I was like, no. I don't know why in the moment I just didn't be like, hey, I'm doing keto, so I can't do carbs or sugars or whatever. I should have communicated more clearly, because then my salad came out and it had refried beans on it. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I can't eat these beans. And I think she was slightly irritated with me. So, I should have communicated more clearly. My mom was even like, why didn't you just tell her you were doing keto so she knew? I was like, I don't know, because that would have been simple, right? Sometimes we create our own problems by not communicating clearly. Okay. All right, you guys, love you lots. I'm gonna also please. I'm gonna also please. Not what I meant to say. I also want to thank those of you that have posted a Google review for me. It means a ton, and I super appreciate it. And if you would like, I will actually sneak off this page really quick, and I'm going to snag the link. You can post a review whenever you want, but you have until the end of the month to be entered into being able to get a $50 Visa card. So that's what I'm doing for, and I'm going to post the link. So all you have to do, whoa, that did not work. I don't even know what that was. Okay, I'm going to have to go fix that. I will post the link in a minute. I'll come back in here and post the link in the comments. If you do the review for me, I super appreciate it. All I ask is that you put how you were feeling before, how I've helped you. You don't even have to have done a session with me. You can just say the videos that I do, whatever. But I super appreciate it. It's on a Google Business platform. You just have to log into your Google page. But I will go remove the link that I just posted because I don't even know what that is. But there you go. Okay, you guys, I hope you have a beautiful day. Don't forget to be yourself, sparkle a little more, and I don't even know what's going on right now. Okay, technology.